Zach Gelb is on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. I'll start with the Dolphins. There's a lot going on, Zach. We've got the Marlins and the Phillies, very raucous Philadelphia baseball crowd. But I'll start with the Dolphins because they'd put up a 70-burger the week prior on Denver, and then they get blown out by Buffalo last Sunday. And one of the things that we've talked about this week is, have you changed what you think the Dolphins are based on that one game? Even though they're 3-1 and have looked really good, did they look so porous maybe on defense that you've completely changed who you think the Dolphins are?
It's not more so that I changed the way that I think that the Dolphins look. It's more about the way that the Buffalo Bills responded, because the Dolphins last 3 times going into last Sunday when they played up against the Buffalo Bills, they beat them the one time in Miami. Then they had those 2 close games in Buffalo. One was with Skylar Thompson. And in this offseason, after what did transpire with Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Brandon Beane, and Sean McDermott, in addition to the way that they lost that game against Cincinnati Bengals, we were all trying to figure out what the Bills are and how great the Buffalo Bills still are. And they showed you up against the Dolphins that the AFC East is still going to run through them. And in an AFC that's wide open now with the Bengals taking a step back, the Chiefs offense not being able to hum yet, it just reassures you that Buffalo isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
And did it make you question Tua at all? Because there's people that's just dropping Tua out of the MVP race for one game.
No, there was for like the first half of the game, I thought Tua, at least the first quarter, was surgical. It's just one of those games where it got away from them. So as long as he stays healthy, this is going to be a Dolphins team that they're going to win 10-plus games. They're going to be in contention to win the AFC East, and they still have an opportunity to win the division and go far into the playoffs. Here's what I think's getting lost in this, and I don't expect fans to say this, but this could be actually the best thing that ever happened to the Miami Dolphins, and here's why. Everyone was singing their praises for the first 3 weeks of the season. Everyone's now buying into the Dolphins, and maybe this humbles the group a little bit and kind of refocuses them a little bit. And then the next time we see them go up against Buffalo, we'll find out who the real Miami Dolphins are.
This is a ridiculous take by you, but Solana, go ahead, because this is Solana's take.
Excellent take by you, Gelb. I think they needed this.
Wow.
I think everybody.
This is your ally, Gelb.
You know what?
This is your ally.
This is when I know I'm dead wrong. If Solana is on the island with me and we're going down together, maybe I'll go join him at Heat Media Day when he's interviewing all those players in the bathroom. Stalling with Solana and Gelb on 560 WQAM.
Stalling.
Start a Heat podcast, Solana, called Dropping Number 2. And just you and one guest, 2 guys.
There's a joke in there with Dos Minutos as well. We have to massage it a little bit, but there's definitely.
We were in season. I would have hit that. Damn it.
Taking a Puka Nakua with Solana on 560 WQAM.
That was nasty.
Listen, man, I got to get an interview done. You put me wherever, baby. I'll get that interview done. I happen to agree, though, Gelb. I think they walked into that after putting the 70 burger on Denver saying, hey, nobody can stop us. And to me, they benefited from having somebody not only stop them, but punch them directly in the mouth.
The other thing that makes this really scary, too, if you want to go that it's not all roses for the Miami Dolphins and try to give some optimism after that game, Buffalo did that without Von Miller, who their Buffalo season changed last year when Von Miller went down with the ACL injury, because before that injury, they were up against Kansas City in Kansas City. Von Miller comes off the edge, forces Mahomes to make a mistake, and then Teron Johnson picked off the football and won the game. So that's the other part of this, too, and it just reassures you how great Buffalo is. They did that without their best defensive player and a guy that was brought in to go help them win a Super Bowl.
And Zach, one of my biggest takeaways from the game, that just honestly, the thing that pissed me off the most was Cater Kohu covering Stephon Diggs the entire game. Do you put that on? I put it on everybody. I put it on Xavier Howard, Cater Kohu, and Vic Fangio. One of those 3 people should have went and said, hey, AX, go over there and cover their best receiver. What's your take on that?
And we kind of see that argument be brought up a lot in sports, like the Jets a few weeks ago, and they're going up against the Cowboys. Jets fans were saying, why isn't Sauce Gardner trailing the entire game CeeDee Lamb? You bring up a great point. I don't know if it has to happen every play, but when you have your best defensive player or your best cornerback, and this guy's just dragging you up and down the field for 3 touchdowns in the game and is running through you like it's nothing, yeah, you probably should put your best corner on you. But I don't know why coaches don't do that more so. I guess it's just more a product of the system by Vic Fangio, which doesn't make sense to me.
So the Dolphins have the New York Giants on Sunday. The line opened at 9.5, and then we watched the Giants in prime time, and it's gone up to Dolphins minus 11, even more in some places. Will you lay the 11? How bad, you're in New York, how bad is it in New York for Giants and Jets fans?
The Giants and Jets season is over. The Jet fan has like a little optimism because Zach Wilson finally showed a pulse. And isn't that funny? Rodney Harrison says what every other Jet fan said about Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson plays one good game, and it's like, how dare you call the quarterback garbage and say that to Chris Jones? But what can you do on that front? As far as the Giants, this is my take on the Giants before the year. They overachieved last year. You knew that they didn't have a ton of talent. It was inevitable that there was going to be regression, but would it be slight regression where they would just switch places with the Commanders, who were a competitive team last year that just missed out in the playoffs, or would they fall flat on their face? The Giants are about to fall flat on their face because they have to go to Miami and Buffalo the next 2 weeks. This team's going to be 1-5, and Daniel Jones is paid like a franchise quarterback. There's moments where you look at him and you go, wow, he runs like Lamar Jackson, but there's just still too many turnovers by Daniel Jones where he's not the franchise guy. So this is a Giants team that get ready for Joe Shane and company to be picking in the top 10 and seeing if they're going to take a quarterback next year or whatever other playmakers on the board.
And Zach, you brought up the Chiefs, the Jets, that second half of the Jets game, I haven't seen Patrick Mahomes shut out too much. You said their offense isn't humming. Any concern? Because Travis Kelce, Mahomes, they're great. They just think they can throw Kadarius Tonys and Rice's in, and this guy's going to make them great. I watched Kadarius Toney lose a game earlier in the season because he couldn't catch. Do you have any, I don't want to say they're going to be good, but do you think Kansas City might have regressed a little bit this year?
So I'm going to say no, just because we did this song and dance last year where they lost Tyreek Hill. People questioned them and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. As long as you have 15 and 87 on the field, it's just like, okay, when Brady was with Rob Gronkowski, you're always going to have a chance. But they have to figure out this offense. Here's the thing, though. Is anyone ready to go dethrone them? Because they're vulnerable. There's no doubt about it. Kansas City on the offensive side of the ball is vulnerable this year, but now the Bengals are falling back. All right, Buffalo had a really good performance. Dolphins really good through the first 3 weeks, and they laid an egg up against the Buffalo Bills. Come playoff time, who's going to be able to be the team, whether it's going into Arrowhead or welcoming Mahomes on the road, that is going to be able to slay them? And this is what I'll say, and I know people say, oh, it's because you're a Brady guy and you're probably sensitive to this topic, where people go, oh, Mahomes is going to be the greatest quarterback of all time. Brady for 20 years had a bunch of no names at the wide receiver position. I like Troy Brown, right? David Givens, David Patton, Danny Amendola. Julian Edelman turned out to be a great wide receiver because of who his quarterback was. He even took Riche Caldwell and Doug Gabriel in 2006 to an AFC championship game. So I don't want to hear the excuses that Mahomes doesn't have X or Mahomes doesn't have Y, because Brady literally did it for 20 years.
Zach Gelb is with us. We heard you say Kadarius Toney, by the way, before you laugh at me dropping my phone. Solana
did I say that?
No. Crowder did.
Oh.
Solana and I both looked at each other.
Well, better that he says it here than inside the NFL.
That show's not live. They would have edited that out.